The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Hello and welcome to another edition of The Gloves Are Off. I'm Moses Woldu, and we have a little bit of an RBC Cup type of feel to this show. And we'll start with this, man. I know you've been very busy when it comes to the RBC Cup, both when it comes to the rink as well as out of the rink. The Lloyd Mr. Source sports editor, Andrew Brethauer. How's it going?
Good. I need a bed. Like if I had a bed at the rink, I'd be fine. It's been a great week. It's been so much 2 years of waiting for this, and has lived up to the expectations.
It should be really good to see what happens as we go down. A man who's familiar with hockey in these parts, as well as a champion on the college ranks. Pleased to be joined by the head amateur scout of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Darryl Plandowski. How are you?
Good. Nice to be here.
Yeah, pleasure to have you on as well. A great one. You were with the Lancers. You talk about small guys who can achieve big things. I'm hoping that works on this show as well for myself, at least in this case.
I'm a giant now. Yes.
Amongst us three, well, I'm the odd one out. But guys, let's talk about what's really on the minds of a lot of people here in the border city, and that's the RBC Cup. Lloydminster, you look at this place, the vibe has kind of been off and on. We kind of put that to the side for now, but let's talk about the on-ice product. And the Bobcats, big win on Monday night, especially considering what happened to them in the opening game. It was a must-win situation, came from behind by 2 goals to win it 4-3 in overtime. Things turned around very quickly for this program, a couple of line changes, and we start seeing the fruits. Where does this team go, and do you guys perhaps see this team making it to the semis, or you never know what happens from there?
You never know. I've watched all the games, and I think they have gotten better every game. So that's it's tough to have a layover. I don't know whether they had 4 or 5 weeks where you don't play, and guys get rusty, and they lose their skill, and they lose their conditioning, and I think every period has gotten better so far in the last 2 games.
And like Gord even said after the game, they couldn't have played any worse than what they played in that first game. And then you saw in that first period, you're kind of like, oh no, is this falling apart? Did we just lose? Did we just do all this work and now all of a sudden it's all just going because no one's playing well? And then period by period, they just started dominating Carleton.
It takes time to get your timing back, that's for sure.
And then all of a sudden now you have Kevin Darras scoring, and you have Alex Leclerc playing the Alex Leclerc way. We know now they look like a team that hasn't had a month off. They've been just right back into it again.
It comes back fast. It's just it takes time.
So basically what you're saying is it just came down to maybe a mix of jitters and rust more than this team is going to be outmatched, especially when you watch the first period and a half of their first game. It looked like this might be a long tournament for this club.
Yeah, I just think you lose your timing, and it takes time to get that back and to feel good about yourself. And you listen to goal scorers talk in any league, they have to get that feeling, and it's just timing and confidence.
And it didn't help also that in that first game, they're down right away. 2 quick power play goals, 3 of 4 power plays. When you're down that halfway, 5-0 and halfway through the game, you're playing catch up while also trying to play catch up with yourself. So it was no good situation. If
they come out with a victory in regulation against Brooks, is it safe to say that they've guaranteed a top 4 spot in the next round?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's a big game for sure. And the old cliche, you go game by game. It's when you're in a tournament like this, that's how you go game by game, period by period.
Statistically, yeah. If they beat Brooks tonight in regulation, they're in the semis. And it's the perfect matchup. Last night was so important to beat Carleton Place, because then you put yourself in a situation against a team in Brooks, and you've played before and you've beaten before this season to get into that spot, into that semifinal. So it's the perfect scenario to take the pressure off, so you don't even need to go into Thursday worrying about getting to Saturday. You're now playing for placement, and that's a hell of a lot better than trying to play for, is our season going to continue or not?
Yeah. Bobcats made it exciting, certainly, in the first game, or first win, I should say, in overtime. But you look at the tournament overall, we've been about 3 days in, and the hockey's been pretty decent. You look at the way the Trenton's played, you look at the way Brooks has played. West Kelowna is another team that looks big and can score as well. Is there a specific, player or team that you feel can be successful as we go down the road here, reaching the final?
Team-wise, I mean, the first night I saw Brooks or West Kelowna, I thought they were the best team, and then the next night I thought Brooks was the best team. So I think it's game by game. I think there's 3 or 4 teams that probably can win it, and maybe that's every tournament's the same. I mean, you're at a level now where teams are good. So now it's who has the best goalie, who has the best no injuries, stuff like that, who's on the rhythm. And I think there's 3 or 4 teams that can still win it.
It's interesting talking to people because everyone will punch a hole in every team. Like Trenton's 2-0, but no one believes in Trenton. West Kelowna is 1-1, and there's people who believe in them so much or don't believe them at all. No one believes in Carleton Place, let's be honest. So let's just get them out of the way. But I like Trenton's play. They're not doing anything flashy. They're not doing anything like stellar. They're playing to win, and they're getting it done. And that's what you need to do in a short tournament.
You know, arguably, they came in as, statistically, if you look at what they have done overall, they have the highest penalty kill percentage of all the teams when you look at playoffs and regular season combined. And then you throw in that this is a team that is defense first. And it's not just their goalie or the back end, even their forwards are a team that, you know, we think we're going to do things on our end before we actually go into transition. That's got to speak volumes for that club, at least going forward, right? At least you think defense is going to win you championships. Trenton should be the front runner. And
they're scoring goals. You know, they're getting enough goals to win, and it's not like they're winning 2-1. They're scoring some goals, and at a tournament like this, you have to score goals. And even like last night, goals aren't easy, and so you either have goal scorers or you have to manufacture goals, and they're doing a good job manufacturing goals.
And then you got like West Kelowna, a team that's had to crawl their way through everything, and they're never that team. So them finishing second, third, fourth, I don't think they care. They just want to get into Saturday, and then they'll go and win from there. That's been their way the entire season.
You know that the RBC Cup is going to be filled with teams that are going to be physical, perhaps a little bit chippy, as we saw with West Kelowna and Brooks. However, you will not see punches thrown like we did in baseball. Talking about the Toronto Blue Jays and, of course, the Texas Rangers and the incident with Rignan O'Dour, who, by the way, has been reported to be suspended for 8 games for that punch on Batista. And Batista and John Gibbons, the Blue Jays, have regarded this as cowardly by the Texas Rangers, as well as, I guess, classless, considering that it took them the final game of the series, the last at-bat for Batista, to finally do something about it. I don't see it that way, but how do you guys approach it? And we'll start with you, Andrew.
I don't see it that way. I feel like we've made such a big deal about Batista and his bat flip thing, and he wants to be a personality and all of that. Well, now you have to be the other side of it. You want to be a face and a personality. Well, people are going to come at you, and it doesn't matter when. People come at people all the time in sports. And now you're going to say, oh, well, they waited to the last inning to finally do that because you're not going to play him again. Why wouldn't you? You don't want it to continuously drag on and maybe ruin a game down the line. That's the thing. Like, these Toronto fans want to get all up in arms over this. Well, you know, other teams were getting all up in arms about Batista throwing his bat, and no one had a problem with it. So now it's on the shoes on the other foot.
For me, it's a surprise. You always see a punch like that thrown in a baseball game. You don't expect something like that. And the
way it connected was pretty good.
It was good, and maybe it'll be a rallying cry for the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't think they've had a great start, so maybe this is something that can get them going and rally their team. So maybe it's a good thing.
I just don't know, because in a situation like this, I think you said it and you nailed the nail on the head when you refer to Jose Batista and becoming a personality. I feel, for me, when I saw that bat flip, if I was a Texas Ranger, I would take that personally. Some people are like, well, why should you? He didn't mean it with intent. Of course he did. I don't care if you're in the heat of the moment. You are cognizant enough. I think it got to the point where he knew, I hit the biggest home run, arguably one of the biggest home runs outside of Joe Carter in Blue Jay history, that put my team up and over your team. Throw the bat.
Well, it's also
and there was a pause. There was a long enough pause there where he could have just been, he could have tossed the bat and done what he did. He was admiring his home run, threw the bat in exaggeration. I would have been like, I would have plunked him, and I was kind of happy for the Texas Rangers to do so. Nothing against Jose Batista. I think he's a good player. It's just that the Rangers were right to do what they did.
And he's the one that slid into the basement that started this whole thing. So it's
and that was another thing. So it could have been over with the plunk, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he did the bat flip. He got plunked, and then he did it again. So it's like, okay, well now we're back to our second retaliation. So it's almost, he caused it himself. I know that's a bad thing to say. Blue Jays fans aren't going to like me for saying that, but it's true. He caused it himself.
And guys got egos. So, you know, you've seen Batista. He's got an ego. Everybody's got an ego. So sometimes those egos collide.
There you go.
For a fan, it's kind of fun to see.
And that's the last word, my friend. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we're going to talk more hockey coming up next.